Pastor Roy Gearhart from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. This month, we're going to be looking at the lives of Elijah and Elisha, two prophets of the Lord. And they're so easy to get mixed up because their names sound so much alike. But Elijah came first. He would mentor Elisha, and then Elisha would take over for Elijah when the Lord took Elijah home in a fiery chariot. You may remember that amazing story where Elijah didn't die, but the Lord scooped him up in his fiery chariot and gave him a ride into the heavens. Elijah is famed for some of the great miracles that happened in his life and ministry. Elijah was a man of God, however, who lived at a time when it was really dangerous to be a prophet of the Lord. In fact, King Ahab and Jezebel were not only advocating for the worship of other gods and idols like Asherah and Baal, but they were trying to stamp out the worship of the Lord in Israel. They had set about to kill all of the prophets of the Lord and had done so to many of them. Despite all of the danger, Elijah continued to serve the Lord and to speak his word boldly. He even challenged this evil king and queen in Israel. The Lord sent Elijah to King Ahab to tell him that because of all of the wickedness that was happening in Israel, that he was going to bring a drought upon them. And so that Elijah told King Ahab that it will not rain from now until I say different. That went on for 3.5 years. Elijah is known for many other miracles that happened during his life and ministry. During that drought, the Lord fed Elijah for a period of time with ravens who would fly in food for him and drop it off. Then the Lord fed Elijah along with a widow and her son by making sure that that widow's food supply never ran out. And he did that in a marvelous way. When Elijah arrived, she had only enough flour and oil to make one final meal. But Elijah asked her to trust God and go ahead and make him a meal before making she and her son their last meal. Well, it turned out not to be their last meal because God made those ingredients last the whole time that they were needed. Every time she went back to that jar of flour and oil, there was more there. And the Lord blessed them. She was able to continue to bake that bread and supply that food by the Lord's blessing. Elijah also raised her son from the dead when he suddenly fell ill and died. And on top of that, he becomes the man to face down all of the prophets of Baal and Asherah. He stood before the whole population of Israel and there confronted these prophets with 800 to 1 odds. He stood his ground and prayed that God would bring down fire from heaven and light the altar. And the Lord showed up in a spectacular way to do just that. You must think Elijah had to be some sort of incredible figure, some kind of really unique and outstanding individual. But you know, that's not what the Bible tells us about him. In fact, in the book of James, when the New Testament looks back on Elijah, it says in James 5, verses 17 and 18, that Elijah was an ordinary man, just like you and me. And yet he could pray and it would stop raining, and he could pray again and it would start. You see, the Bible here emphasizes that Elijah is an ordinary man, that it is simply an extraordinary God that he serves, that he has put his faith and trust in the Lord. He is faithful in following after God's instruction. And so God is able to do extraordinary things through this ordinary man. And that message of the scripture gives to you and me the hope that we can seek God as just regular people in our everyday lives and yet have God do amazing, wondrous, even miraculous things in providing for us and in answering prayers and showing his glory. And so that we as ordinary people are encouraged to seek after God, to trust in him and expect a miracle. So may God bless you today. And as you share his good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.